evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you all to our April 2026 monthly chapter meeting. My name is Rudy Melendez. I'll be your vice president. Tonight, our leader, Lucy Volotsky, is celebrating with her family this evening, and so she sends her wishes and her love to you all, and we miss her, and she's our leader, and she's my mentor, and I wish she were here tonight, but family comes first. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to have Doris Nova Holper open the meeting tonight with our invocation. Doris, are you ready?
Yeah. I want to talk tonight about Passover. So you guys are the Israelites tonight, okay? And Egypt is the world, and the world is corrupt, correct? Do you all agree?
Yeah.
More or less? Okay, good. So we are up against an enemy. Now I converted to Judaism. I shouldn't be here tonight. Few of us are Jewish, are here tonight because we know that this is a battle. I don't want to get upset because talking about it upsets me. But my husband is really into James Bond movies. We have a gentleman that's going to speak tonight, Alex Villanueva, later.
Yeah.
He's probably going to talk about our county supervisors who are corrupt to the core. And the James Bond movie, if you guys know anything about it, there's a group called Spectre who will do anything to destroy this country. Spectre should be the name of our county supervisors, which means Special Executive Group for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, and Extortion. That is our county. Would you agree with me,
Yep.
Senor Villanueva? Okay, and he will tell you more about that. So again, Passover, who is the enemy? Hello? Spectre, and who is that? That's Bass, our county supervisors. I cannot tell, one of the ladies, she retired, they gave her a big party. She's responsible for burning down Pacific Palisades. Do I need to sing more? Who's gonna pray? Not me, okay, who's gonna pray tonight, our invocation? Come up here, we need somebody mighty to pray us out of Egypt. Who's gonna come up here and pray? Who's doing that?
You are.
Oh, I am? Oh my goodness, I didn't. I thought it was going to be a Christian that's going to come up here and pray. Okay. I only have a prayer in Hebrew. Oh, good. Okay. Hold on. Okay. There's only one God. Remember that. Hashem. One creator. Okay. I know some of you don't know, when Hashem or God came down, he spoke in Hebrew, or he taught the Israelis how to speak Hebrew. So I'm going to say this in Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam shehi ehanu v'ki yamanu v'hi giyanu lazan ma'azan. So that's a blessing. Art thou, O Lord, our God, King of the universe, who has hastened, kept us in life, and has sustained us and enabled us to reach this festival season. So, fight.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Doris. Heavenly Father, as we gather around these tables, we pause in gratitude for this shared moment. Just as the food before us nourishes our bodies, let our conversations and interactions nourish the connections that bind us. In a world that often rushes us, may we take this time to truly see and understand one another. As we break bread, may our words and thoughts be seasoned with empathy and appreciation. May the bonds we form here tonight extend beyond this dinner, fostering collaboration, understanding, and friendship. With hearts united in purpose, we say, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'd like to invite a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Ed Reynolds to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All rise. Our remark, military, deserve to salute. Remember our soldiers out there defending out in Iran. I can't believe it was just 30 days ago that I stood up here and to get that terrible guy. Anyway, let's salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much, Ed. All right, on to agenda item number 4. This is the time where we invite our candidates that are with us this evening to give us a campaign update, and I see a couple in the room. Why don't we go ahead and start with Ricardo Benitez, who's our State Assembly District candidate in Assembly District 43. Give him a hand.
Thank you, you're the best. Muy buenas tardes, good afternoon everybody, how are you doing? Hope to the last night get you as a surprise, all the rain came out, that was a surprise for me too. And, but anyway, my name is Ricardo Benitez and I'm a candidate for the State Assembly. And I'm running in the condition of rebuild California. You know, I was reading, Chevron is gone. Mozzarella is gone. Tesla is gone. So many businesses has left California that we don't understand. We're gonna be empty. We're not gonna be having any opportunities to employments or business coming back. So we need to start standing up strong and supporting all the candidates that are running for the position, whatever position they are doing. Because California is my house, it's your house, and we have to defend it. But we need to stand up in the way that we need to create more businesses, not to let them go. It's in our hands. It's not in the hands of all those elected officials. It's in the hands of the people who vote. It's on your decision. So therefore, I'm asking you, vote for me. Maybe you are not living in my district, but you got friends, cousins, grandma, grandpa. Tell them about Ricardo Benitez coming to help California to keep standing. So as always, I always said that the foundation of this country and this is for the hard-working people. So, and that's, we are those. So.
What district?
District 42, Pacoima, San Fernando, Lake Buterra, Silmar, Panorama City, part of Benais, part of a little bit of North Hollywood, San Antahanga, I'm sorry, Sun Valley. San Antahanga is kind of a little filled up, but Lake Buterra. So all those beautiful communities need our help. So we need to do a lot of things, especially now that those politicians wants to close the White Man Airport. So we need to go over there and fight for that. I was over there the other day making a little video, but I think it's not enough. It's more people need to go over there, because keeping the airport open, there is a lot of opportunities to transportation, you know, quick move. It's a lot of things that we can do with that. So, as always, I always ask for donations. So, if you want to donate something to the campaign of Ricardo Benitez, talk to David. Give it to David. David knows how to use it for every candidate. And thank you very much. Enjoy your dinner, and let's keep going.
Thank you. Well done. Appreciate you. Ricardo's a hard-working, blue-collar guy. He's ready to drain the swamp here in this We have a couple other candidates. Another mentor of mine, a close friend. One of the best things that happens when you run for office as a candidate are all the people that you meet that come around and support you and one another. And Tony Rodriguez is that guy for me. Tony's our candidate for State Senate District 20. Also an Army veteran. Thank you, Tony. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to see everybody here today. I'm looking forward to the sheriff telling us what he's all about, even though we already know, but we want to hear from him again. I'm running for Senate District 20, and I am running really to bring accountability back to the government, so that the people know where all the money's going, what's it being spent on, and you can call me the snitch of the government because I will go public with everything that I find out when I get up there. Because it's time that we know what's happening with the money. We don't need to raise taxes. We don't need to add more fees to what we're doing. There's plenty of money out there. We just have to find out where it is and go after the people that are spending it illegally and immorally. I'm just a common sense guy. I'm a blue collar worker just like Ricardo. I have part of the northeast of the San Fernando Valley, and San Antonio, where I'm from, that's my home base. Just a common sense approach to everything. We need common sense and common ground. We need to be able to sit down and talk about what we have in common, and then worry about what we don't have in common, and maybe we can come to an agreement later doing it that way, instead of trying to ramrod everybody. If you want to know more about me, I have a very simple plan. It's about 30 pages long. Go to my website, Tony4Senate.com. Tony4Senate.com. Also, my phone number's on there, my direct line. I don't have a campaign manager answering. I answer my own phone. So if you have any questions, feel free to call me. I'm very truthful and honest. And like Rudy said, I spent 26 years in the Army. I don't know any other way to do things but do it operationally and tactically. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you for being a leader, grandfather, and just a great all-around guy. I'm also a candidate in this election cycle, and I'm happy to announce that we made the ballot for Congressional District 29.
Yay!
And thank you. I couldn't have done it without all of your help and support, because if you've never been a candidate, and I encourage everybody to do it sometime, it's a tremendous experience, and the journey never ends. The good news is the candidates here tonight, much of our districts overlap with one another, so when we've been canvassing, we're able to put Ricardo's material out, Tony's material out, and my material out at the same time, and it really it's working out. We've already been at it, and we have 5 weeks to continue to canvass our districts before ballots come out in the mail. As I mentioned, Ricardo's running in the northeast end of the San Fernando Valley, Tony's in the top end of the San Fernando Valley, and I'm kind of in both of those places. And so I just wanted to tell you my legislative priorities are easing the cost of living, promoting economic prosperity and housing affordability in California, tapping into unparalleled energy and technology capacity, protecting parental rights for their children's education and their health care decisions, ensuring free and fair and secure election integrity in California, supporting United States-based visual art, music production, and motion picture industry film and tax credit incentives, and emphasizing public safety for all California families. That's what I'm about. Many of you already probably know me. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. Our candidates need your help. What we need more than anything right now are your prayers. So thank you for your support. Thank you very much. So I see for our next agenda item, this was David Hernandez's idea, and I love it. We've been hearing from LA GOP Assembly District Committee members, and we have a few in the room tonight. So I'd like to call up first in the 46th, we'll go top to bottom. In Assembly District 46, we have Eileen Berkowitz here. Eileen, thank you. For those that don't know Eileen, she works 8 days a week. She tells you that she takes a couple days off, but she actually works 8 or 9 days a week. So thank you, Eileen. What's going on in Assembly District 46?
Assembly District 46, just so you know, covers Encino, Tarzana, Woodland Hills, West Hills, and parts of Reseda and Canoga Park. We meet the fourth Thursday of every month, and David Hernandez has generously allowed us to use his office, the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club at Winnetka and Ventura Boulevard. Everyone's welcome to attend if they let us know ahead of time. And you can see me tonight if you're interested. We work closely with the Los Angeles Hispanic Republican Club, and starting next week, our list of endorsements will be published. And we hope to start having people come in the office and text, email, and telephone for different candidates. And we also have precinct sheets if anybody is interested in door knocking. Our last Hispanic Republican Club meeting in that office, which is right after our AD 46 meeting, our meeting's from 5 to 6, and the LA Hispanic Republican Club usually starts at 6:30. And we had a special guest speaker, Joel Pollack, and he had announced that he gave us his email, and he said if anybody was interested in, he's the opinion editor of the New California Post, of being published, to send him an article. And one of the candidates that AD 46 is supporting, Tanya Array, who's running for county supervisor, submitted an article, and it was actually published in the paper 2 days later. So we're all very proud of Tanya Array, county supervisor in that area. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Tanya is running in supervisorial district 3. And she's a terrific candidate. We got to knock out Lindsay Horvath, right, Alex? I mean, she's probably the worst of the worst right now. And we can do that. That means we got to get everybody to vote. Everybody in this room to vote. You saw some cards on your table. This is a little something that came out of the Assembly District Committees. You can check your voter registration status at the website, voterstatus.sos.ca.gov or at registertovote.ca.gov, or you can hit the QR code on your phone and you can make sure that your ballot is going to where you want it to go. Something to be aware of, 8 out of 10 people that cast a ballot in LA County vote by mail. So I'm not here to argue about how you want to vote and what the best way to vote is. The important thing is that you're voting. And we need to make sure that everybody in this room is voting, and everyone in your family is voting, and everyone is getting their ballot and casting their vote and tracking your ballot. Because this is, well, every election is important, but this may be the most important one that we have in quite some time. So if you just make sure that you're voting, please, we need you. All right, so I want to acknowledge Carol Ann Petorsky, who's also on Assembly District 46. Did I say your last name right?
Yes.
Okay. And then Tony, I'm actually Tony's alternate in Assembly District 44. Tony, do you mind if I give a quick update on the 44? So in Assembly District 44, I think you guys know the county party is struggling right now. We have a county party chair who we like and we want to see become successful, but after 15 months, I don't think that our expectations have been met at this point. We haven't had too many in-person meetings. The teleconference meetings haven't been working out so great, and the endorsement process has been somewhat convoluted and left a lot of candidates behind. Despite all that, some have been endorsed. We'd just like to see that the county party put those endorsements online and make the list of LA County Central Committee members and their alternates available to all of the endorsed candidates so that we can lean on them to help us turn out the vote in the June 2nd primary. And so if if you're interested, call the county party, talk to the chair, ask for the in-person meeting, and ask for a list of Central Committee members so that you can engage with them. Our committee met a week ago, Monday, online, and we didn't really get a whole lot done. We're kind of struggling with the bank account and all these silly challenges. And we're right now 5 weeks away from ballots. We really should be canvassing, in my view. I think that's how we win. As Eileen mentioned, if you're interested in canvassing, if you're interested in phone banking, texting for our candidates, our endorsed candidates, please reach out to David Hernandez. He has an air-conditioned office space. It's right in the center of the valley, and we have a strategy there that we know works for our candidates. So thank you, David, for all that you do, and we'll be hearing from David in just a little bit. At this time, I'd like to move on to agenda item number 6. We've been blessed to have Kevin McNamee, who is leading the charge in the CEO Act, and he's here tonight with an update. Kevin, how are you? Thank you for the work that you're doing for school choice. It's so important for us.
Rudy, always a diplomat. Thank you for that kind introduction. I'd like to start off this way. When I walk into my community college class, I like to first assess the intellectual IQ of those students. So I put out an easy question. What is 12 times 12? I'll point to one of my students. The student says 180. I thought, oh, my work is cut out for me. So I pointed to a second student. I said, what is 12 times 12? Student said, Wednesday. Pointed to a third student, I'm just mesmerized. Third student said, what is 12 times 12? Student correctly said 144. I thought, we have 1 out of 3 that got it. And I said, please explain to the class how you got 144. Student says it's quite easy. You take 180 minus Wednesday, it'll give you 144. Take you back 50 years ago. California used to be tops in the nation in education. Other states looked to see how California did public education. We did a really good job. For the last 50 years, we've been declining based on state standardized testings in reading and math. The last results that came out last year for our 11th graders, dismal results. 34% of our 11th graders cannot read or read proficiently. 70% cannot do basic math. They wind up in my community college class, and I often say a third of them should go back to high school and start over again. They got shortchanged. How do you encourage someone to do well in life, to become the haves and get away from being the haves-not, if they can't read, write, or do basic math? They are locked into a minimum wage, low-wage job that is dead-end. They will not be able to lift themselves out of poverty because they can't read, write, or do basic math. Fairly common, very common sense kind of approach. Well, let me share with you an opportunity here that we have coming forth as an initiative. I went around and got signatures from those that I could today. We have teams throughout California collecting enough signatures to get the following on the ballot for November of 2026. It's called the Children's Educational Opportunity Act. Essentially, we as taxpayers send our sales tax, income tax, and property tax to the state of California. From that revenue, 39% is required to go to the TK through 12th grade public school education. What this initiative does is amend the California Constitution to allow that 39% if the parents want to set up an education savings account in that student's name, and instead of that $25,000 going to the public school, which may not be a good fit for the kid or is a failing public school, $17,000 goes into the kid's ESA. Parents never touch the money. They never handle the money. But what they do have control over is what school, including private school, faith-based school, and homeschool, what tutors, online classes, books, supplies, special needs, transportation to and from school. This opens up opportunities that normally are there for the wealthy children, now opens up for all the children of California. This is equality at its best. Because when a child is in a poor fit, and it's not a good fit for the kid, they'll get a poor education, a poor paying job, resulting in cycle of poverty continuing. We want to break that cycle of poverty by providing education that is the most efficient and best way to do it. They talk about teaching a man how to fish. This is teaching a student how to fish. Get him out of poverty. And we can do this without raising taxes with tax-free money. So the way this works is as follows. I need all of you to sign that initiative, that petition, if you haven't so far. We are submitting it by April 14, as we want the last ones to come in because we have to get it to the county clerks throughout California by the 20th of April to be counted. We have no idea where we are right now in the count simply because We don't know what the county clerk's going to accept and reject, but we got to give it a try. And I make a promise to you, if we don't get enough signatures this time, we're coming back again in January. Governor Gavin Newsom, along with Tony Thurmond, Superintendent of Public Instruction here in California, they have been going through California. They are terrified of this initiative. By moving that money from the state control of telling the students what they're going to learn and how they're going to learn it, and give it to the kids' ESA where the parents now decide the best education fit, that scares them. Because they have now lost control over the dictation of what that kid is going to learn. Now the parents decide the best fit, not a politician or bureaucrat. Do you like that idea?
Yes.
Now there's four, I usually finish up here, is I usually have four protection languages that are in this initiative. One, what does it cover? First, tuition, online fees, online classes, tutors, special needs, faith-based material and curriculum, transportation to and from school and school activities. There's a few others that escape me right now, but it covers anything that's educational. You can submit a request to the ESA Trust Board. Second, you know what? If we take government money, are there strings attached? The answer is no. Here's how you get around it, is that if that money went directly from the state of California to the school, now Title IX could be triggered. Result is certain criteria for discrimination, employment, that kind of thing. Avoids that by going from the state to the student's education savings account, and then the parents decide where it goes. So the strings attached do not exist in that model. Third, we do not like the objectionable material that is being thrust upon the public schools. Do we have to teach that if we're participating in the ESA Trust Board in this program? The answer is no. We have protective language that says if a parent or a school finds anything morally objectionable, they don't have to teach it. Fourth, we're a school of faith. If we take government money, do we have to stop teaching faith? We have protective language in there that says, if you're a school of faith, keep teaching faith. And that is constitutional according to the Secretary of State. We are allowing those schools of faith to continue doing so. Again, 34% of our 11th graders can't read or read proficiently. 70% can't do basic math. I have a question for you. Why can private school, faith-based schools and homeschool students, why can 100% of them read, write, and do basic math? And do it at half the price of what we pay for our public schools at $25,000 per kid. In a class of 30, that is $750,000 we spend every year on our public schools. What are we getting for it? So what results is that kids drop out by 4th, 5th grade. They don't want to go to end of high school to get into a trade, so they drop out and join gangs. They go out and do crime. One of the best ways you can keep kids in school is direct them towards their interests. If they want to go college bound, put them down that path. This initiative will allow trade tech schools to open for 12, 13-year-olds like they do in Europe, where you go to trade tech school 2 days a week, you go to academics 3 days a week. By the time you're 16, you're a journeyman and being a plumber, electrician, HVAC, whatever. You got an $80,000, $100,000 a year job at 16 years of age. That'll keep kids out of gangs. And when they go home after a hard day's work, not only are they fatigued, but they got money in their pocket to spend the way they want and the pride of a good job done. So I'm pleased to say our governor's candidates, Steve Hilton, has endorsed this. Sheriff Deputy, yes, please be helpful. Sheriff John Bianco has endorsed this. And a big hand for our guest tonight, Alex Villanueva, has also endorsed this. So the update right now is, I am not clear as to where our numbers are. The goal is 1.2 million to get the needed 874,000 to get this on the ballot. I can tell you that once it's on the ballot, it polls at 72% and 74% voter approval, and that goes across racial and party lines. Last Sunday I was in Oxnard speaking to a church congregation, spoke to the members. Pastor Ray says, Kevin, we want this because we're trying to expand our school, and this would provide the resources to do so because we want to direct the morals, values, and standards of our kids, not what they're teaching them in public school. Now the majority of these kids, majority of these parents come from outside the country. They speak Spanish only. My Spanish is terrible. But they came up to the table and we were able to communicate through some of the translators that I am not a US citizen, can I sign? I said, no, I'm sorry, you can't. My daughter, who was born here as a US citizen, she is registered to vote. Get her over here, sign it. But then I said, Mom, even though you're not a US citizen, you're 18 years of age, you can go collect signatures from those that are registered to vote US citizens. She was so excited. I have to tell you, the most passionate group I have met are the low-income families, especially those that are Hispanic, that speak Spanish, who want to lift their kids out of poverty instead of being doomed to a life of poverty because of a poor education. So I want to hear a lot of yeses out of you as I call you out. Do you want to put the parents in charge of their child's education instead of politicians or bureaucrats?
Yes.
Do you want to lower crime?
Yes.
Do you want to lower the prison population?
Yes.
Do you want to give kids the opportunity to find out what they're meant to be in life and have a good living?
Yes. Yes.
So sign the Children's Educational Opportunity Act petition. Manouk, I thank you for your efforts collecting signatures. Tony, where are you? Tony, I find out from him, he knows April, who is part of my team. She's one of my co-hosts on AM 870 in the evenings at Saturday at 9 o'clock. We'll be on this Saturday. We're on after David Hernandez and, is it Jeffy's show. We're on from 9 to 10 on AM 870. We talk about this, but we bring out what's going on in our schools. Oh, the sexual abuse going on? Absolutely. The embezzlement? Sheriff, you're going to have a tough job there, my friend. That said, I've got one question. I'm going to do one. All right, this is the only one we're going to do. Go ahead. Tony, go ahead.
I just don't forget adult ed, because that's very important. There is a lot of kids who graduated or don't graduate that they want to get a trade. But as you mentioned, you know, and I support that what you said about the plumber, electricians, because I'm one of those. Air conditioning, framers, cement, all the kind of things, all the kind of trade we need it back. But also there is a lot of adults that wants to get into the trade. So, and there is no money for that. So LAUSD is not helping in that.
The next millionaire class I submit to you is going to be the tradesmen. We have more retiring than coming in. So if a child wants a great opportunity as an adult, learn a trade. You will make a fortune and change the world. With that, I thank you. Alex, I'm going to do my best to stay awake. I was up at 4 a.m. to get on Jennifer Warren's show this morning at 6:45. I'm not 21 anymore, I'm dragging. So if I step out, it's not because I don't enjoy your presentation. You've been on my radio show. I am so sorry, but I'm going to have to step out at some point. But that's not because I don't enjoy what you present, okay? And you have my support, my friend. Tony, go ahead.
I want to make a suggestion. If you don't get enough signatures this time around, there's a program called Self-Determination Program for people with special needs. Mimic that program. Maybe you'll get it through.
I'll take a look at it, but thank you. Appreciate that, my friend. Super, thank you.
Now we're going to get to
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate all your hard work. This is the initiative that will change lives. Kevin spoke to it, you know, very, very well, as you might expect. It all starts with education, people. It all starts with education, and our schools are failing in California. And how many of you have heard this expression that California is the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world? How is it that our schools are so bad when we have such a great economy? Tracy Schroeder's here. Have you come up, Tracy? Before we bring Alex up, let's have Tracy come up and give us a quick campaign update. How are you? Our candidate in Assembly District 46. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. Hey everybody, great to be here tonight if we haven't met. I'm Tracy Schroeder on the ballot right here in Assembly District 46. I'm a teacher and I support this initiative that's coming forth. You know, LA Unified has a budget of $18 billion. And currently the superintendent is no longer functioning. He is put on leave and they are actually looking into fraud at this time. And so all of these things are really important. The money is coming from the state to the schools. The directives, the laws are coming from the state. We need people in there who are going to make a difference. That's a big reason why I'm running, and to help counter all these bad bills and help make California more affordable so we can survive. But let's get those kids into schools that are going to work better for them. I'm Tracy Schroeder on your ballot for Assembly 46.
Love you. Thank you. You look amazing. Tracy always gets the best applause. I'm doing something wrong. Tracy, we love you. Thank you for being a teacher. Fun fact, back in 2014, I actually made the ballot, Alex, for county supervisor. That was the year that we ended up with Sheila Krull. The LA Times endorsed Robert Duran, who was the mayor of West Hollywood. Bobby Shriver made top 2. I got 6,000 votes, I think, or something like that, out of 8 candidates. And then 4 years later, I met Alex at the Studio City Library. I don't know if you remember this, Alex. The Studio City Neighborhood Council was having a candidate forum, and that's when I first met you. And I didn't know all about you, but I know a whole lot about you now, and you're an amazing person. You have an amazing wife, and we were really honored to have you with us tonight. So at this time, I'd like to bring up Sheriff candidate in 2026, the one and only Mr. Alex Villanueva. Thank you, Sheriff. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good evening, everyone. How are we doing?
Good.
All right, I'm going to tend to wander around a bit, so bear with me. The last time I was here in Van Nuys by this airport was the year 1994. I was working patrol in the Sheriff's Department, and you're thinking, wait a minute, what did you do in the patrol in the Sheriff's Department in Van Nuys, right? I was actually working overtime, delivering ballot boxes from the precincts to the airport, and the Sheriff's Department was flying the ballots to Norwalk to be counted. And the whole process took an entire night, and by the next day, you had the entire result. That's when voting was actually done the right way. Just a stroll down memory lane here. And sir, from the Air Force veteran, thank you for your service as a fellow airman, and also fellow Army. Where's my Army vet? I did both branches of service, and thank you both for your service.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You know what? In another life, I was an adjunct professor at Cal State Long Beach, and I had seniors graduate, criminal justice majors, and I had to assign them a final essay, for their final grade. And remember, I'm getting these reports, these things from graduating seniors at Cal State Long Beach. I read through them and it's like, oh my dear Lord, this is a graduating senior at college level. They couldn't put a sentence together successfully. So yeah, we got a lot of challenges in education. Even bigger challenges is keeping people alive. And there was a report today that came out, and the LA Times wrote about it, and it was all over the news, that the current sheriff has somehow racked up Cal OSHA fines to a level never seen before. $350,000 fines for mishandling of a bomb that caused the death of 3 employees.
Oh my God.
$300,000 fine for mishandling of a fire that cost the deputy's life in a mobile trailer. So if you're doing that, that's $650,000 in fines. But here's the ghastly math. 133 inmates have died in custody of the Sheriff's Department since Luna's been in office. A record. Here's another one that's flying under the radar. 16 employees have committed suicide on his watch. That is a number that leads the entire nation. Employees. And NYPD, which is about 3 times bigger or 4 times bigger, not even close. Chicago PD, which is bigger, not even close. So our incumbent sheriff is setting all the wrong records. Then you have 6 employees died, accidental deaths. The 3 from the bomb, the hand grenade. And then last Sunday, there was an employee death in the desert in the Baker to Vegas relay race. But that one, you can't attribute that one to either Luna or being an accident. It was a natural medical thing. Running a race in the desert at 109 degrees is a dangerous thing, and that proved it. But that's not the first fatality of the race. But the fatality that did not get the attention was a crash on the 10 freeway at Crenshaw at 5 in the morning Sunday, this past Sunday. What did it have to do with the sheriff's department? It was a deputy who just got off doing 2 back-to-back double shifts, fell asleep at the wheel, initiated a 5-car pileup that caused someone else's death. This is something the press knows, and the press is not talking about. Because the press is totally on board with the Board of Supervisors to protect the reputation of the incumbent sheriff. Remember the Palisades fire? Altadena fire? One person, that old phrase, he had one job to do, is to oversee evacuations. And that's the sheriff of LA County. There were no evacuations. It was do it yourself, figure it out as the fires were blowing sideways. So Altadena deputies, God bless each and every one of them, the horrors they went through those 2 nights trying to rescue people. And there was no leadership, there was no guidance, there was no plan. And this is when they had 5 days advance notice. Remember the National Weather Service when they said particularly dangerous situation? It's not often you get 5 days, hey, heads up, something really bad's gonna happen, let's figure out what to do. No, nothing happened. When an earthquake hits, you should have some pre-planning on an earthquake, which you can't really expect. But when you get 5 days advance notice, well, this is what never happened that was supposed to happen. This is the sheriff makes a phone call to LA County Fire Chief, LA City Fire Chief, and say, hey folks, we got a big one coming. We got 2 years of record rain, 8 months of record drought, and now we got hurricane force winds coming through, which means we have a huge pile of fuel that everyone is sitting on, and all it takes is a match and we're screwed. Let's figure out how we can best save as many people as possible and minimize the damage. That is a conversation that never took place. Why? Because he had one job to do and he couldn't do it. He was on the news about a month ago saying, well, that was the fire department's job. No. Fire departments are not responsible for evacuations. That's the sheriff's job and local law enforcement. So that conversation should have included the chief of police of LAPD. And remember when the fires blew through all the evacuations and all the massive looting everywhere? Was there any organized effort to prevent that? No. It took them 4 days to figure out that, hey, maybe we should call the National Guard. 4 days in. And they knew 5 days before they did not have the personnel, either the Sheriff's Department or the LAPD, to handle a massive or a natural or man-made disaster of significant size and maintain 911 service throughout the area. Couldn't do both at the same time. In 2020, I was a sheriff, and we had civil unrest. We had people running around trying to create all kinds of destruction. We had 11 riots going on at the same time where people were trying to burn down property and create all kinds of havoc. I went to the Department Operations Center personally. They told me, okay, this is all we got. We had 3 mobile field forces. We had 2 mobile field forces comprised of all other small agencies that put their little, reserve forces together. That was just 5, but I had 11 riots. So I said, you know what, this is a lot more than we have the ability to handle. Let's call the National Guard. So I ordered the National Guard under my control, command and control. They came down within 4 hours. The first group of 500 was kidnapped by, remember Yoga Pants, the old mayor of LA?
Yeah, Eric Frog City.
That one. Apparently, he had an inside track for the California Office of Emergency Services. Hey, ignore the sheriff, just send him over to Brentwood. We have some VIP people that were nervous about their property. So they kidnapped my first 500 guardsmen. So I called back Cal OAS and gave him a piece of my opinion of them. And I'll be darned, they sent 500 more immediately. And the very next day, to their credit, the chief of Cal OES, 3-star guy, and his 2-star assistant chief were at my operations center apologizing for that mix-up. Why? Because how the cow eats the cabbage is that the Cal OES divides the state into 7 regions. Each one of those regions has one mutual aid coordinator, and it's the sheriff of the largest county of each region. So LA County is the sheriff who is the mutual aid coordinator for LA and Orange County. They both comprise one region. So it's not the mayor of the city of LA who decides where resources go, it's the sheriff. They said they understood that, they apologized for any inconvenience, and it wouldn't happen again. So I give a lot of credit for them. They actually did something very unusual. They actually corrected an error. But the good point about all of this is that we anticipated the need for personnel, and we made decisions that provided the personnel. And the National Guardsmen are not cops, but we had a lot of things we needed to protect, so we put them out there to protect things that didn't move, like government buildings and stuff that they wanted to destroy. And then we had all the deputies freed up. Now, okay, now we can go chase down all the crooks and have fun. And boy, did they do that. Took a lot of people to jail. Over 800 people went to jail. No one died. I was a young deputy in 1992 when the Rodney King riots happened. And I remember the chaos that happened those days. 58 people died. Over $2 billion in damage. And this is when Daryl Gates and Sherman Block decided, well, we don't want to really, enforce the law because let's not upset any more people and let's just kind of see if it righted out. Worst mistake in the history of probably the country at that point. Because all they telegraphed was the image of there's no one in charge, you can do whatever you want. And that's exactly what happened. So fast forward to 2020, I'm the one in the hot seat. And I remember that. I said, you know what? We're not going to have that same outcome. We're going to meet them wherever they're at, and we're going to introduce them to handcuffs and our jail. Yeah. And it worked. They tried in Fairfax. Antifa was there. Black Lives Matter LA was there. People's City Council. All these groups that were bent on destroying commercial. Now they're focusing not on residential, they're focusing on commercial, high-end stuff, retailers. So they went to Beverly Hills first. Didn't work out. We saved Rodeo Drive, took a lot of people to jail. They tried to trash the Citadel in Commerce. We surprised them, came up behind them, and 50 of them went to jail. With their backpacks and other black hoodies and all that stuff, they all went and filled up a whole bus with them. That worked out pretty good. They tried the Fairfax. That didn't go so well either. In fact, that was caught on live on Fox 11 with Bill Mallusion. He was filming it, and they were live when they threw stuff our way, and we responded in kind with more stuff than they had, and they went screaming the other direction. It was pretty funny, actually. But it worked. We sent a loud message that we are not going to tolerate it. The only place that got damaged of any significance was in Santa Monica. Yep. Because the Santa Monica City Council told the Santa Monica Chief of Police to just stand back, and it's just property damage. To this day, the promenade has never been the same. Never will. The other place, curiously, was Long Beach. 7th and Pine. They're wrecking the entire place. We show up with an entire mobile field force. I'm there with them. We're dressed for the prom, right? We have all the toys. And we meet a group of just a half a dozen Long Beach officers and a sergeant. And there's 70 of us. My security detail is probably another 6. And I asked him, hey, where's your chief? And the sergeant says, well, we don't know, but I got an email from him. He shows me an email. I said, oh, these poor bastards. I said, where's the hot spot? And he said, over there. Okay, follow me. And we go put out the place. We chase down looters. I ended up arresting 2 myself. To the horror of my security team, they're like, oh my God, he's gonna die. But I did remember how to, put handcuffs on a crook. I've done it a few times in the past. But when we did that, we telegraphed the message that no, we're not going to tolerate lawlessness, we're going to take action. That is a message that always needs to be delivered. Fast forward to June of last year, and what did we see in downtown LA? You saw CHP huddling under the 101 freeway overpass, and their radio cars are being trashed with bricks and scooters, and remember all that?
Yeah.
Do you know a block away was an entire platoon of sheriff's deputies and an entire platoon of LAPD officers, and they were told to stand down.
Who told that?
Who told them?
Yeah.
They're on the sheriff's side, the lieutenant in charge was told by whoever was in charge of EOB, the Emergency Operations Bureau at the time, not to engage.
Who was? We need name.
Well, the name you need to know is called Robert Luna. He's the one that, Bunker Bob. Because it turns out in 2020 when we were in Long Beach, he was hiding in the basement, the bunker room of a fire station. That's where he picked up the name Bunker Bob. Fast forward to 2025 when the fires were burning, he was in Carlsbad on a union-sponsored junket in some luxury resort. It took him 4 days to get to Altadena. He's nowhere to be found. So it reinforced the concept of Bunker Bob. So in June of last year, when the CHP are hiding, hiding for their lives, no one came to the rescue. And for me, that is dereliction of duty. That telegraphed to everyone that it's okay to assault federal immigration officers. There's no repercussion to do it. And what does that generate? More assaults on federal immigration. All it takes, when the very first time, remember when David Huerta was arrested by ICE and they swarmed, they did all that stuff? That's all it takes. If local law enforcement comes to the aid of immigration, doesn't mean we're agreeing with or not agreeing with whatever they're doing. That's their business. As long as they're doing their job and they're under assault, that's a separate new crime that we need to come and defend them. And do so unequivocally. Luna failed to do that. And I'll tell you this, and you can send this to Mr. Luna, he is a coward.
Yep.
Okay? And the point is, when you're elected, you have to do the right thing if you're an elected official. And you can't make your first consideration, oh my God, how's this going to make me look? Let me see if I can get a survey and let me test the wind to see. No. What is the right thing to do? Get the damn job done. That's all it is, really. And I did that as sheriff. I campaigned in 2018. I had a list of like 10 things I was going to do. I'll be darned, I did all 10. Usually that means you get reelected. But who would have known that the Democratic Party of Los Angeles County took offense to the fact that I actually made all my campaign commitments? Who would have thought that upholding the rule of law was offensive to people engaged in law breaking?
They're pro-crime.
Yeah.
That's why you're our new favorite Republican.
Well, hold on there. I can say as of Monday, I'm the official endorsed candidate of the LA County Republican Party. Now, this is weird, where I'm the only person in history, because 8 years ago, I was the official endorsed candidate of the Democratic Party. I don't think anyone's ever done that one before. I don't recommend it. It's a rough ride. But I'll tell you this. I've never changed who I am. Never. When I became sheriff, I knew there was so much had to be done to fix a department that was dying. And we did. We did fix it. We brought it back to life, got it to full staffing, took a budget deficit, made it a budget surplus, defended the department from the defunding efforts of the board and everything they did to throw rocks at us. We stood up and we pushed back. We pushed back against the false narrative that cops are racist. All that stemming from the George Floyd protests that went nationwide. I said, okay, what does an event that happened 2,000 miles away have anything to do with LA County Sheriff's Department? Absolutely nothing. But you wouldn't know listening to all the language. No. So we pushed back against all that, and it worked. We stemmed the tide, and people started realizing, hey, actually, you know, we kind of do need law enforcement. So that whole defunding movement became described as the worst political slogan in the history of politics. Defunding the police. Even polls back in 2020 said, no, about 80% of the people want the police, including every racial group, every demographic, every party affiliation. Yeah, no, we want cops. So we're gonna keep pushing the way we're doing. And I tell you this, my opponent, there's 9 people on the ballot, okay? 9. We've done polling. We're actually tied with incumbent. We paid for a hard poll, we got the data, and the pollster said, man, I've never seen incumbent in this bad shape before. Sir?
When I speak to the LA County Sheriff's deputies in my clinical practice, they always felt that you had their back and you enforced the law and gave them the tools to do so. What does the rank and file polling say of the rank and file of your versus the current incumbent? What's the thought?
Awesome question. There's 3 unions that represent employees, actually 4. The civilian ones are represented by SEIU 721. They endorsed Luna without a vote of the membership. Heck, without a vote even of the union delegates. It was a closed door, cigar smoked, we're endorsing the incumbent. That was SEIU 721. ALAS and POPA have not done an endorsement. LASPA, the rival union, they have over 3,000 members, so that's a big sample size. They did polling. We wound up with 81.5% of the vote. 4 years ago, when we ran for re-election, ALAS and POPA did polling, and we wound up with 86% of the vote. So we're pretty sure those numbers are still the same. So we have the support overwhelmingly of the employees of the department. And being sheriff is, someone asked me before, I can't remember what media, what's it like to be sheriff? I said, well, it's as easy as riding a bicycle, except the bicycle is on fire. You're on fire, and the fire's on fire. And that's what it was like. Only because of all the political opposition. Without the political opposition of the Board of Supervisors and all their appointees and the whole homeless industrial complex that feeds all these nonprofits, without them, the job is, I mean, it's a hard one, but it's doable. Especially because everyone is committed to the same goals of keeping the community safe, engaging with the community, forming strong partnerships, and actually doing true community policing. Sir?
I'll do one more question, let others do the same. Ask
Oh, by the way, I forgot.
Yes, sir.
That same poll, guess how Luna did?
How did Luna do?
None of the above got 7%. The other 7 candidates got 3, 4, 5%. Luna got 2%. He had the lowest in the entire poll. But go ahead.
When I talk again to the sheriff's deputies in my practice, they share some thoughts about how they're worked overtime, they're exhausted, and they're losing deputies, either retirement and leaving. They're not getting new recruits coming in to fill those spots. Is this a true assessment of what's going on? And if so, what will you do to reverse that tide of losing deputies? Because as they get tired, mistakes will be made.
Yes. When I took over in 2018, my predecessor, McDonald, had lost 800 deputies. He was losing on average 200 a year. So the department was shrinking. Year 2019, my first full year on the job, we hired 1,100 deputies. We set a record. We had people that had filed paperwork to retire early. They pulled the paperwork and said, no, we're going to stick around. So I got 4 more years out of them. We had people that had left the department and said, hey, can we come back? And I said, by all means, you can come back. I plan on doing that again. My goal is to hire 2,000 deputies in 2 years. I want to bring back everyone who laddered all to another agency. I tell them, you can come back, no questions asked. Same thing with retirees. I want to work with Sacramento. God forbid I got to go to Sacramento. But when they did the Pension Reform Act, they did a provision of it that totally screwed over basically seniority, because they set a ceiling of $149,000 for retirement, which is okay, but when you consider your maxed out sergeant pay is above 149,000, so they're closer to about 160 or 170,000. Lieutenants are right around a little bit over 200,000, which means you can't attract anybody to come back because they'd have to give up a higher paying pension to go work for a lower rate. That's one of the dumb aspects of the Pension Reform Act. It was generated by basically pension envy, by people that do not like law enforcement to begin with. And now, and I had the same problem in 2018, I want to bring back senior executives, people that were experienced that had left. They said, I really like my retirement, sorry. And so, but that one, I can make a very strong argument. Right now, the department is missing over 3,000 sworn. Think about that. That's greater than the size of San Bernardino, Riverside County Sheriff's Department combined.
Wow.
That's how big the hole we're in right now, and it's getting bigger. This year, there's 600 scheduled to retire, on top of the ones that have left. They're now, the department is going to pay over $500 million in overtime. When I was in charge, our overtime budget got under 100 million. So we had 10,000 sworn in 2020. I had a budget of 3.6 billion. So now today you get to pay $500 million more, 4.1 billion, for 30% smaller department. That's called democratic math for you. You had a question, sir?
Yes. Are you abide by the same oath that you do, this all is doing about the Christian when fight foreign and domestic enemy? Are you abide by this thing? And how you call these people who is against our society? Do you call them a Christian? What is the penalty for them, these people?
Well, you know what? They've operated for so long without any oversight or any accountability. Remember, all the rage was about, oh my God, we need Sheriff's Department oversight. We have to hold them accountable in transparency. Well, now it turns out that Luna gave Cal OSHA a report that was so redacted, they gave them sheets of black blots. They said there's only 2 sentences in the entire report that was readable. That's transparency under Luna. And when it comes to oversight of supervisors, there is none. None whatsoever. They're the legislative, the executive branch of government, and here's something that is going to leave you sleepless at night. From 2011 to 2025, that's a 14-year time period, the City of LA budget, the County of LA budget, and the state budget either doubled or tripled. Wrap your mind around that. While at the same time, we closed prisons, we closed hospitals, we lost psychiatric beds, we lost hospital beds, we lost jail facilities, we have less cops, we have less firefighters, less doctors, less nurses, less teachers, less schools, but we're paying so much more. Again, it's more democratic math, as you can see here. But that delta, the difference, guess what it is? This is going to give you some concern. It's called nonprofit fraud and embezzlement.
Yes.
So when the county budget goes from 22 billion 2011 to 52.5 billion in 2026, that is huge. There was 82,000 employees in 2000, now there's 117,000 employees. 35,000 more employees were added, yet probation is almost gone. Sheriff's Department is on its last leg. Fire departments can't even get their rigs up and running, and they don't have enough fire personnel, as we saw in the fires themselves. So where's all this going?
Well, who's responsible for this?
Board of Supervisors is responsible.
Bass and Newsom.
The City of LA is responsible. The Democratic Party in general, because they control everything.
Don't the sheriffs have to carry that out?
How's that?
Don't the sheriffs have to look into that and just go, oh, it's their responsibility?
Oh, hold on.
Doesn't it come to you?
It did come to me by a criminal complaint, and we investigated it. And one of the suspects was a supervisor by the name of Sheila Kuehl. Another suspect was a civilian oversight commissioner named Patty Giggins. We actually did investigate it. It turns out that was a yarn attached to a huge sweater that we started pulling. And the howls from the Democratic Party, from the entire political establishment, from their mouthpieces in the media, oh my God, he's going after his critics, how dare he? Kind of like when we went to Venice to clean up the boardwalk, how dare he? Notice how when you tread upon their flow of cash that goes into the wrong hands, that's when they get angry. But you talk to the residents of Venice, the business owners, they were like, oh, thank God. They love us down there. It worked. We brought the place back to light, back to life. Yoga Pants and Mike Bonin wanted to destroy the place. Okay, so we started pulling on that thread. We executed search warrants. We did it the nice way.
There's no will to prosecute.
Well, hold on. This is about the bad luck of being sheriff in 2018. I had the trifecta of hell of prosecution. I had Gascon, Bonta, and the Biden Department of Justice.
Terrible.
Yeah, do the math there, what I was going to get prosecuted. So when we had a problem, Gascon would say, oh my God, I'm not going to have anything to do with that. He is. No, it's not because there was anything wrong with what I was doing. It's because that's all the media needed to go to parrot his words like I was some rogue person. When we did the search warrants, 2 separate judges signed them, approved their probable cause declarations, everything. The county spent your tax dollars to hire criminal defense attorneys to squash the search warrants. Think about that. Have you ever heard of that? Never heard of it, right?
No.
Because you're not supposed to. There's so many things you're not supposed to know. Remember the cashless bail system that started in 2023? Yeah. Ever heard of the results of it? You're not supposed to know. This is what happens. Democracy dies in darkness. And every single thing they propose that comes out of this progressive mindset at the city, the county, and the state has been an utter disaster. It's designed to fit an ideology, virtue signaling. Look how grandiose we are. Just listen to Gavin Newsom's wife. If you want to induce vomiting, just listen to her for a bit and you realize, oh my God.
Well, she ran the whole show with the fire age.
That is the mindset that's prevalent with the board. Just listen to Lindsay Horvath for about 1 minute, or Hilda Solis is kind of like chalk, fingers across, on a chalkboard. It's that bad. They don't even listen to themselves anymore. They just parrot the same things, and your audience is full of people. Middle of the day, in the middle of the week, where they should be working, you got 200 cats with matching T-shirts that say "Can't get well in a cell." Guess who paid for all that? You did. Yep. Trust me, those 35,000 extra employees that the county has, I guarantee you a chunk of them are phantom employees. Don't exist. Yep. That extra billions, the ones that went to the homeless industrial complex.
NGOs.
We've looked up daycare centers. They're fake. I personally knocked on daycare centers according to the 990s. And they're fake. Hospice centers, fake. 31% of the entire nation's hospice centers are located here in the San Fernando Valley. How on earth is that possible? That is fraud at a level that it just staggers imagination. And where does the money go? One, people are actually outright stealing it. They're lining their pockets with it. And they're just hoping that the entire prosecutorial and investigative scheme leaves them unscathed. That's why they took such offense to me being sheriff, because I actually said, hey, let's investigate this. We have a complaint. As Sheriff Lord Willing, 35th Sheriff, Trump went from 45 to 47. I'm trying to go from 33 to 35. Can we make that happen? But some of that money goes to the people doing protests. They're paid protesters. Goes to all of their doing. That goes to the nonprofits that register Democrats, that do ballot harvesting. They have an entire army of paid volunteers doing their dirty work and delivering the results they want in the elections. That's why you have elections that last an entire month instead of a day. That's why you have 100% mail-in ballots. There's no pandemic anymore. Why they're 100% mail-in ballots? That's why you have voting centers. Remember there used to be the old precinct? Remember those lovely ladies that were like 200 years old that knew everybody? Unfortunately, they're gone. Now you have centers where nobody knows anybody. Literally, because anonymity facilitates corruption. Those metal boxes you see where you're supposed to deposit your ballot, you know why they exist? Because if you put a fraudulent ballot in a U.S. mailbox, you committed a federal offense, a felony. If you do it in a county ballot drop box, it's not a crime. And they're just banking that you won't figure out that it was a fraudulent ballot. There's so many things they're doing to game the system to get advantage of themselves. As sheriff, I will reconstitute the public corruption unit that Luna dismantled on his first day on the job. That was his first official act as sheriff, was get rid of the public corruption unit. Could there be anything more corrupt than that act? That was why he was recruited by the Board of Supervisors. He was retiring from Long Beach PD. The Long Beach Peace Officers Association was going to give him a vote of no confidence because he was a horrible human being, and he lost more than 20% of Long Beach PD when he was chief there. So he retired early to avoid that. And then here comes Hilda Solis on her broom and said, hey, we can make you sheriff, you're Latino, you've been a chief, that's all we need, the voters won't know any difference. That's exactly what happened. Okay. But now you know elections have consequences. We can actually win this thing in the primary.
Yes.
But we need everyone here. We need everyone here to vote, get their ballot in the mail, but do more than that. Make your own voting list of all your family and friends. It's officially a nonpartisan race, so you're not going to see an R next to my name or a D next to Luna's name. It's all nonpartisan, okay? But we got to get those ballots in the mail, U.S. mail, okay? Get all your family and friends to vote early. Make your list. You vote day one. As soon as you get it, boom, throw it in the mail. Then go down your list and start harassing every single family member and friend. Have you voted yet? And tell them, I'm going to be calling you every single day for the next 30 days until you put it in the mail. Tell me when to stop. Sir.
Challenge is that, and I want a suggestion on how to address this, is that when I ran for re-election in City Council in Thousand Oaks, I lost by all 43 votes. Yet I should have won by thousands. What I found out from those that we went around to cure the ballot was that they didn't vote in that election, but yet they registered to vote. Someone voted for them. And I found out after doing some research, one of the methods that could be utilized here is that as people move, the ballot arrives at their old address because the new address hasn't been updated. That new tenant puts it on top of the mailboxes for the apartment. Those stacks get high. And then before the election, those magically disappear, and people who have no good sources, you can look at signatures people have used to register to vote, as in like an initiative, to verify it is the same signature before you move forward with it. I'm thinking this is so right. Now, how do you, as a candidate that wants to go after corruption, get elected in a corrupt system like this, other than, okay, everybody, go out to your local apartments, take all the ballots, and don't let them use it. What are your thoughts? How do we stop something like that?
Well, one thing, we got to win greater than the margin of their ability to cheat.
Yeah. Like we did with Trump recently.
Yeah.
We got to think of that.
Too big to wait.
And one thing is Hockman was able to defeat Gascon,
Yeah.
even though he was endorsed by the Democratic Party, the Federation of Labor, all the usual suspects. He had every advantage going his way, but people kind of figured it out. I think the same thing is happening with who he mentored. He's actually the mentor of Robert Luna. We have pictures of them that are kind of disgusting to see. and you'll see why. I mean, it's a bromance that is just, it makes you really understand what Luna is all about when you see how affiliated he is with Gascon.
So
Does everybody know?
essentially, we have to just get out more votes than they can collecting.
We gotta work harder. George Soros dumped $500,000 into Luna's campaign in the primary. Jeff Katzenberg, the Hollywood mogul, dumped $1 million in Luna in the primary. There's a couple of billionaires up north with these, one is called the Simon Foundation. They spent $100,000 just to pay one activist to write a report called 50 Years of Deputy Gangs. The whole thing was fake. And the same person funded Check the Sheriff Coalition that appeared magically overnight. 60 different organizations dedicated to get me out of office. And if you have the chance, go read one of the endorsements of Luna from 22. Read it, and you're gonna get a laugh, because now you know 4 years of history and news, and you realize it had absolutely nothing to do with public safety. Nothing whatsoever. Now we have issues of public safety. We're falling apart. Crime is running amok everywhere. They're hiding the data. And now people are legitimately concerned for their personal safety. That didn't happen on my watch. It happened on his watch. So we got to make sure voters know this. So we got to spread the word. Also, make your own voter guides. Everyone here has your circle of friends, family on Facebook, Instagram. This crowd looks a little bit beyond TikTok at this point, but I tried it. And send that voter guide to them. Hey, get this out there. And if you're Republican sending it to Democratic friends, throw a couple of Democrats in there as well. Say, hey, you know what? You're going for the person, not the party. Be smart about it. All right. Vivid had a question, and then I think you.
Yeah, we got time. We got time for a couple more.
Wait.
You've been raising your hand.
Yes, ma'am. Right in front of me.
I have two questions. First, I'm a strong believer of, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. How do you intend to stand by your officers who are being attacked by, one, the media and the neighborhood, by these people who are obviously playing stupid games when, for example, up in Lancaster, we had somebody who was shoplifting, law enforcement was called, they were not complying with the officer's orders, she spat in his face, she was taken down, and it ended up, I think he ended up losing his job over that. And the Sheriff's Department did not stand by him, and I do not like seeing our law enforcement being attacked.
I stood by him. His name is Trevor Kirk.
Yes.
He's a dear friend of mine and my wife's and his family. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
This man, in the span of 2 seconds, went from working deputy to convicted felony.
Yes.
Or they lowered it to a misdemeanor.
Okay.
But convicted, lost his job.
Yes.
His credentials as a peace officer were stripped in Sacramento by Senate Bill 2. And we stood by him at his trial. And this was a Biden DOJ decision, and they did it as a favor to Luna. Because Luna was trying to basically court the favor of Black Lives Matter LA, and the Antelope Valley's canceled the contract crowd, which hate law enforcement.
It's terrible situation.
So he said, hey, if I throw this guy under the bus, I'm going to look better in their eyes. And of course, Lancaster and Palmdale, they were appalled at what happened to poor Trevor Kirk and his family.
Yeah.
Wife, 2 kids, third's on the way now. And it's not good, because it was a minor use of force, and the federal government has never interfered with a local issue about a minor use of force.
I still don't agree with what happened with Derek Chauvin.
In Derek Chauvin, you have right. The autopsy report, he died of fentanyl overdose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was Chauvin derelict in not caring for someone who was under obvious medical distress? Yeah, there's a good argument to be made there. So he was overcharged. He should not be there for a homicide.
Right.
For a different reason, maybe for being indifferent to a guy who was on overdose. But the way they sold it, yeah, it was totally bogus.
Right.
Same thing with, remember the old Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot.
Yeah.
The entire thing was false, demonstrably false, proven false, yet to this very day, these social justice warriors are still referencing Michael Brown as he was somehow innocent.
So I just want to know, you will be standing by these officers and...
Go to my website, you'll see a picture of me hugging Trevor Kirk.
Okay.
I'm with you.
I have a second question. What are you, so you've talked about our, our issue with not enough officers and stuff like that. And I know when us, the community, your constituents, need our law enforcement and we call for maybe something that's not a violent crime or something like that, it takes sometimes 6, 8, 12, sometimes 2 days to get them to come out and take a report. What are you going to do to either get more officers to join or to shorten those call times?
When we had 10,000 strong in 2020, we have, it's called response times, and they measure them. They measure for emergencies, 911, priority calls, I think the neighbors are fighting, blah, 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 or routine, somebody stole something, report calls. 3 categories.
Yeah.
Our standard was 5 minutes, actually it's 10 minutes, but our average was 3 minutes for emergencies. For priority calls, the standard is 20 minutes, but our average was around 7 or 8 minutes. And for report calls, we were under an hour, typically 40 minutes. That was the standard with a fully staffed sheriff's department. When Luna took over, they just stopped counting response times altogether. Hence why you see the 2-day thing. Or you can even call 911 and you're put on hold, something unheard of in my watch. I was a watch sergeant, I was a watch commander, overseeing the dispatch center. The rule of thumb in our department, we have 24 dispatch centers, not one like the LAPD does, we have 24. Totally decentralized, which is a huge strength of our system. You should answer the 911 the first ring. By the second ring, the watch deputy's like, okay. By the third, the watch sergeant is going over there, what the hell's going on, who's not picking up the phone. That's the sheriff's department standard, which is the highest in the nation. That has been destroyed by Luna. We need to bring it back, and we can bring it back.
One more question.
And one question, and real quick, my book is here. Okay, it's called Sheriff, Holding the Thin Blue Line in a Deep Blue State. And it's my life story, and from young kid in New York and Puerto Rico, and then joining the military, and I can sum up the entire book in one sentence. You probably think I can't do that, but here's the whole book in one sentence. It's about 400 odd pages. It's in larger print, so it's easier to read, especially if you have difficulty seeing. It's called David Defeats Goliath, and Goliath Invents Lawfare. That's the whole book. You'll be fascinated by what the county did that never made the news. I put it all there so you know everything that happened. Okay? Yeah, I can do one more in my campaign website. Campaign website is alexvillanueva2026.com. If you have the time, visit the website, drop a few dollars in. We're competing against the big bucks of the county. The Board of Supervisors has directed all of their law firms that they do business with to have every single partner of the law firm write $1,500 checks to them. If you pull his campaign finance statements, all you see is a law firm in Dewey, Cheatham and Howe, partner A, B, C, D, E, all the way down. That's what it reads like. That's how they play dirty. Okay? So, you got a question here?
You got a lot of great stories, you've done a lot of great accomplishments. One thing that a lot of people noticed is that during COVID, a couple of your deputies pulled that guy out of the water. I don't know if they cited him or arrested him. Will you comment on that, please?
Good question.
Please don't support that stuff again.
No, we're not supporting this, but everybody's got to realize first, there's no playbook on how to handle a pandemic. The last one was 1918. Okay, I think my grandparents were around, that was about it. And there's nothing left behind on how to handle what we're handling, especially because there's a lot of big unknowns about transmission. So the first week or two, I wouldn't get too wrapped about what we did anything. I just go by what the county was saying, the county health officer. What was their name? Dr. Death or Beetlejuice? Barbara Ferrer? Yeah. But a few weeks in, we figured out, oh my God, these people are full of shit. Not only do they not know what they're doing, they're trying to impose themselves on everything. So we said, no, we're not going to enforce the mask mandate. We're not going to chase around people for an infraction when I have a DA won't even file felonies. Why on earth am I getting tangled with someone for an infraction? So the things we had. So the first one probably got through us. We didn't have time to figure it out, but once we got it figured out, so we're not doing that. When it came to the vaccine, I opposed the vaccine mandate.
I remember that.
They tried to villainize me and paint me as, oh my God, he's a vaccine, what do you call those? Anti-vaxxer, when I had been vaccinated already. But I said, no, that's a personal medical decision. Take the vaccine, or if you don't, just get tested every week, we'll call it even. The same policy of the president at the time, the same policy as the governor, but the only one that caught flack here in LA was me. Imagine that. Why? That's how evil the press is and the Board of Supervisors, how they spin things, and their spin goes right into the news feed and gets blasted everywhere in their echo chamber.
Alex was also first to criticize the labs that were providing the testing.
It turns out the lab, or the group that they were forcing county employees to register with, was called Fulgent Genetics.
Yeah.
The FBI asked us to meet them at FBI headquarters on Wilshire Boulevard the day after Thanksgiving, 2021, because they had important information to share with us about Fulgent and their concerns about bioterrorism. So we went there, myself, my undersheriff, my chief of staff, and we're in uniform. And then the CEO shows up, Fija Davenport, with an attorney. Chief County Counsel shows up, Rodrigo da Silva, with his own attorney. And we're thinking, okay, why do they have attorneys and we don't have attorneys? What's going on here? They sent us an email about Fulgent. Okay, so we took it seriously, went there. And what they gave us was a whole, basically 4-hour introduction about the evils of the Chinese government with databases, biological weapons, and what is the value of having a huge pool of employees that are vaccinated, not vaccinated, who's positive, who's not. That actually allows them information to manipulate genetic engineering of viruses, because they know what works and what doesn't work, who's most inclined to get infected and who's not. A lot of information comes from that, which seemed kind of innocent. So we said, well, okay, we wrote a letter to everyone on the department, we're suspending everything to do with Fulgent, we're not going to register with them, and all hell broke loose. They dragged me across the coals, oh my God, I made the whole thing up. And of course we had the smoking gun of the emails from the FBI. They sued me, they denied me an attorney, they said I wasn't doing my job, I wasn't working. I'm literally there at the request of the FBI in uniform, and they said I wasn't working. And I'm missing something good.
Yes, something big. They kept coming to our house during dinner time, all the time, just to bother us, and then they give us off on the cameras.
Oh yeah, yeah. These are the people serving us their subpoenas for their lawsuit from Fulgent Genetics.
Wow.
And then, so we had an attorney represent us pro bono. Gave him the email, and the lawsuit disappeared overnight because it laid out that they were all lying. Sheila Q lied her ass off, saying that Fulgent was never mentioned in this meeting, that she wasn't even part of it. But that's how, this should kind of scare you, because that shows you how comfortable they are with the bold-faced lie. They had no problem doing that, because they'd figure, well, I'm the bad guy, so if they just throw dirt at me, everyone's going to believe them and not me. And that's how they played the game. But it turns out, luck was on our side. Lawsuit got dismissed, and we stand by the decision we made. And ultimately, all the courts have ruled that our position was the right one, and the vaccine mandates were unconstitutional.
Yep.
Last question over here. I know we're kind of running over here.
Is there a chance, everyone here knows that I'm one of the teachers, I lost my job over that rotten, stinking garbage. And I got it back, but in the meantime, has that been shared with someone who will publish it?
There's a lot of lawsuits that happen. I know the LA City Fire, they had a group of people, I can't remember what their name is.
Yeah.
Firefighters for Freedom or something.
Yeah.
And
I covered
we
that.
supported them, and it was kind of a mixed bag depending on what agency it was and what were the terms. So it wasn't a blanket across the board where we could say victory. Some won, some lost. On our side, this is what drove the board nuts, because only the sheriff can impose discipline on sheriff's employees, and they could not get around that. So we said, no, our employees are off limits. And politely, between the lines, I told them to go screw themselves. It worked. So.
Let's get that published though, because a lot of people don't know that. I heard it back then, but I've never seen it published, and like now there's the new California Post that just came out. Yeah.
Well, the reason why you don't see those things published, because we did so many good things that never made the media on purpose. If it was good, it was something bad that happened to us, they wouldn't publish it either because they didn't want us to gain any support. My wife and I were victims of the worst doxing case probably in the history of the United States. You never knew it, did you? The group People City Council made 11 banners, and they stretched them across 11 freeway overpasses at rush hour with our name, inviting people to come to our house and our address.
They did that
Never
to a lot of
mentioned
people.
in the news. And that should have been like a big story, but because it would have gained sympathy to us, the media was ordered basically stand down, don't mention it. It never happened. So that should kind of tell you how we're being manipulated on our opinions by what we see or we don't see in the media. Only saving grace, believe it or not, I know social media is a pain in the ass, but it's become a way where we're bypassing traditional media. We're getting information directly out there. X is a more reliable. Facebook and Instagram have a mechanism where they censor things. I've been slowed, I've been eliminated, what do you call that? They throttled, shadow banned. Everything is done to me possible between those two. X has been the one that's been somewhat consistent, but even on X, I sometimes get screwed. Because I can compare how a story I put on, which is a real salacious one like the one I did today, barely moves. And I did one yesterday, was not quite as salacious, blew up. How do you explain that? The algorithms don't make sense, but that's because people are making money off of Elon, and he probably doesn't even know it. There are probably several, positions below him. So, a lot of work to do, folks. Thank you all for coming, for listening. And we'll be here with your books, and make that donation if you can.
How much is your book?
32.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. Great job. We heard a lot. We have a little bit left in the agenda, so we're gonna push on. If there's one thing that you take away from tonight's meeting is reject the left-wing propaganda and agitation of the LA Times and the Los Angeles Daily News. They are designed to propagandize and agitate us, and it is fake news. So. Let's get through the rest of the night's meeting. I want to bring up our LA County Regional Vice Chair, David Hernandez, to give us an update. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Rudy. And I'm going to make this brief because it's been a long night. But you know how we opened up the meeting with invocation, recognizing that our rights as Americans, from the very beginning, are inalienable rights. They don't come from government. And, those rights of the rights to the pursuit of happiness, the freedom, are really spelled out in the Bill of Rights. The freedom of speech, which we're enjoying tonight. The freedom of peaceable assembly, which we are enjoying tonight. The freedom of religion, and the free expression thereof, which means there is no single religion that we are tied to, that we respect all of those religions, and we also respect the individuals that don't believe. That is how great we are. We respect the rights of individuals who do not agree with us. We respect their rights to speak out. So I've been in this position as regional vice chair for almost three years now. Half of what I do is keep the individuals within the party from attacking each other. The other half is to help candidates. Both very important. When we ask why over 40 or 50% of Republicans have stopped voting, I think it has a little bit to do with what they see amongst ourselves. They get very discouraged. And then when they see that there is more interest in eliminating people from the party than actually expanding the party, they've given up. And so we talk about wanting to bring in younger people in the party. And as they start to come in, and they may have questions about certain issues, and they're met with name calling, they're met with being branded anti-Semitic, or they're anti-whatever, do you think that's going to encourage more young people to get involved? Right now, there is an effort within the party, which for the first time since I've been involved in the Republican Party since 2002, that individuals that don't agree are being labeled Nazi-like. This is the first time the Republican Party has ever used that term to describe other Republicans within the party. Not only is that offensive to young people asking questions, but it is also offensive and vile for the evil that was done during World War II. And so we're getting ready to go to our state convention a week from Saturday. And I just want you to remember that in order for us to succeed, we need to work together. And we do not all have to agree. And I have to respect your opinion. I don't have to agree with it, but I have to respect it. And so if our candidates are going to stand a chance, we cannot destroy ourselves 30 days before the ballots start coming out. And so it's an exciting time. If you are a delegate and you are not going to the convention, I have proxy forms over there. I would like to receive your proxy in order to vote at the convention. But our regional meeting is going to be Saturday morning at 8 a.m. at the Sheraton in San Diego. And there are 11 candidates, statewide candidates, that are up for consideration for statewide endorsement. Since it's only a 1-hour meeting, we are only having the statewide candidates who have qualified for endorsement consideration to speak. And so I look forward to seeing you there, but don't be surprised if it becomes a little contentious. Don't let that discourage you. I want you to stay focused in helping these candidates as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for all the work you do. If you're going to San Diego, we'll be there next week, a week from Friday, April 10, 11, and 12. As David indicated, he leads the LA County Regional Caucus meeting Saturday morning at 8 a.m. It's going to be in Pacific Jewel Room B at the Sheraton San Diego Resort in San Diego. There's a lot of things going on this coming weekend. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. Catherine, you want to come up and help me make these last announcements? And then Peggy, you're going to be up next too. So I want to welcome back our Executive Vice President of the California Republican Assembly, Catherine Loy.
Hi, everybody. What's happening Friday at 2 o'clock?
Hard to hear you.
What's happening Friday at noon, April 10th?
Friday at noon is the CRA informal meeting. So if you are going to be at the convention on Friday, please come to the CRA meeting at noon on Friday.
Okay. And then the GOP Union Caucus meeting is Friday 2 to 3. Can you tell people about that one?
On Friday from 2 to 3 is the GOP Union Caucus from 2 to 3 on Friday. So if you're there, join us.
And we have some exciting news. We're going to have the Department of Labor there, Secretary Laura Chavez-DeRemer in the room. So come check us out Friday 2 to 3. And then Friday night from 8 to 11, what's happening?
We are having the RCC reception from 8 p.m. to 11, and we will be having Steve Hilton, Chad Bianco, and several other statewide candidates, including Robert Howe, Jennifer Hawks, Herb Morgan, Michael Gates, all are going to be there. We're going to have a DJ. 8 to 11. Cash bar. So there's going to be some dancing, stuff like that. So that's going to be Friday night at 8 o'clock.
How are you getting invited?
Sorry?
How are you getting invited to this meeting? Too many of them. You have to
be delegate.
No, you can come as a guest. Yeah, so that's at the CAGOP convention Friday down in San Diego at the Sheraton Hotel. You can go to the CAGOP website and get the information there as well. Saturday night at 6 p.m. at Bill's Barbecue is the Tea Party Caucus dinner, and we're having Jenny Ray LaRue, and there's rumor that we may see Nick Shirley there as well.
Yes.
So also, I wanted to touch on the fact if you're a delegate and cannot attend, as David Hernandez already hinted to, please make sure you get somebody, either David or myself or even Rudy, your proxy. It is so important. It's imperative that you get us your proxies. Also, I wanted to touch on the fact that these midterms are so important. Maybe the most important election that we've had in recent times. If Trump is not able to finish out his agenda, we may possibly lose the White House in the next presidential election. If he is not able to finish righting this ship, if we lose the House or the Senate, and he's stopped from finishing out his agenda, we're in big trouble. So it is imperative that you tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, and tell them to tell their friends, family, neighbors to get out and vote. If you are not able to get to the polls or to the ballot box, drop your ballot in the mail. Give it to somebody and make sure they drop it off for you. It is so important. This election is so important. Okay? Also, I want to encourage you, as Rudy already hinted, to check on your voter registration status. Okay? If you've been to the DMV recently, if you have moved recently, even if you haven't, check your voter registration status. Sometimes we have seen where your voter registration has gone bye-bye. It has been changed to a different party. So it is important to check your voter registration status. Rudy has these great cards that some have been left on your tables. And so you can use these and make it super simple. You can scan the QR code, or you can just go straight to the website yourself, type it in, and check your voter registration status. If you need help, I can help you. You can get my card from me. I'm sure you can contact Rudy. He'd be happy to help you. So please do that. Help elderly people to check theirs as well. So if you have anybody, any friends, family, or that are elderly and need help, please reach out and help them. Okay? Lastly, there was one other thing. Also, anybody you know that maybe is a registered Dem, Also, make sure you talk to them. So many people are uneducated voters and don't realize the difference between the two parties. Just have a friendly conversation with them and, make sure you ask them, how do you feel about Second Amendment? How do you feel about pro-choice, pro-life? All the different, different things. And then when they answer and their values align with the Republican Party, tell them, did you know that all of those values align with the Republican Party, or a majority of them align with the Republican Party, and get them thinking about it. And then, after they've been thinking about it, then encourage them to maybe change to just maybe at least no party preference, if they're not ready to take that jump all the way to the Republican. Then, if they've gone partway, a couple weeks later, maybe you can encourage them to make that final jump to the Republican Party. Okay? That will help us. That will also make the Dems have to spend more money in those elections when those numbers change from D plus 22 down to D plus 17. They have to spend more money in those elections to win those elections. So that's important. Also, all the candidates here in this room, make sure you guys reach out to the candidates here and help them with their campaigns. They need help, we need help to win. We can't do this alone. Not everybody can do everything, but everybody can do something. So get involved.
All right.
Thank you, you guys.
Thank you, Catherine. Peggy, let's talk about the pancake breakfast. This is the last announcement.
Okay, yeah. Devonshire Police, they're having their pancake breakfast, April the 18th, 8 to 11, all you can